of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't lived the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and damn, they sent me where the life is be. The level 4 with depth and fights, the type of shit they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee, I refuse to die a chump. I never been a bitch, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get punked, some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5. Year-long racial fights, but homie, all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole, causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, bulldogs and skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF and Gumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. The Northerners was loony, quick to ride up on their rivals. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in their Bibles. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damoos, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IEs, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pirus, the Hustlers quick to roll, the Gangsta Crips move. Whatever clique you choose, you better stick to the...
Say, what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to Life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down! Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. Yeah, that's me gassing on that intro, man. That song is now available on CD only. So if you want to get at me, man, hit me up on Instagram. That's 16DALIFE. And you can purchase that CD, man. I got both intro versions on there. Like I say, tap in with your boy, man. But anyway, let's hop right up into this video, man. So recently, in the last couple of days, you had a lot of people upset, man. Especially a lot of gang members from Compton, a lot of Crips from Compton upset at what Ayatollah Marv said. Now, Ayatollah Marv bills himself as the oldest living Piru. Now, for those of you guys who may not be familiar with Pirus, Pirus originated in and are from Compton. And to make it simple, they're pretty much like Bloods, but it started on Piru Street. And so they're Pirus, they wear red, so on and so forth, right? And so on a show called Boss Talk 101, Ayatollah Marv made what a lot of people feel were disparaging comments about Eazy-E, right? So then after people getting up arms and they feel that he majorly disrespected Eazy-E, he comes back and he apologizes. And so let me play his apology first.
Hey, E, we was in a discussion a little while back, and I brought up and said some stuff about Eazy-E and about his situation in Compton when you acknowledged me that they had named the street. And I never meant to disrespect. The words that come out your mouth, you have to handle them with care because it can be misconstrued. I never meant to disrespect him or his family. But what I said, it was in a contest, and some of the Compton Crips, as they should, took offense to it. And they felt like I disrespected. I had a lot of respect for Eazy. I tried to get a day, an Eazy Day, when I did Dr. Dre Day in 2014. He made, like the brother said, he made Compton. NWA put Compton on the map.
So you see what he says, that he was in no way trying to disrespect Eazy-E, and that the things that he said were said in possibly taken out of context, right? And so now let me show you guys the original comment that he said that had everybody up in arms. And a lot of times people will show things and don't show them in its entirety, or only give you a snippet of what's being said, right? So I definitely want to play a little bit of a longer portion here just to see if it was taken out of context, or if you know, it was pretty much meant how he said it.
The mayor won the mayor's race with less than 3,000 votes. We have 45,000 registered voters in the city of Compton, and you won with 3,000 votes? If Crips and Pirus get together in all of Compton and Raleigh for one, we can put in who we want as the mayor. We can put in the city council, the councilman won with 800 votes. We got 800 people sitting around doing nothing. But you're sitting around holding your nuts, not making a change.
That's crazy.
Every city in the world we've had 14 black mayors, and we don't have one street named after a black man.
Not one. They did Eazy-E, didn't they?
Now what the hell you name a street Eazy? What did Eazy do for Compton? Not taking nothing away from Eazy. Eazy got crossed in the White House and they end up killing him for knowing too much or not knowing enough.
Well, there you guys have it. If you haven't seen it already, and you can decide for yourself. I think it was a few things that should be mentioned here. You know, sometimes, number one, sometimes it's not necessarily what we say, but how we say it. You know, he seems to be a little angry when he says it. He seems to be a little, he seemingly had disdain that a street will be named after Eazy-E, right? And so the second and most important thing is by a lot of individuals being older who grew up listening to Eazy-E, who grew up to respect Eazy-E. We were raised with a certain mentality, right? That if someone was to speak ill of your homie, either you would call him and say, hold on, man, you know, don't talk about the homie. I'm going to call him up, let him come over here, then say what you got to say to his face. Or the second thing is when someone is speaking ill of your homie and you know that your homie is an upstanding individual, worthy of you sticking up for him, then you just stick up for him right then and there, and you take the fade or handle it however you see fit, right? Also, by now, of course, Eazy-E being deceased, that takes things to a way extremely another level, right? People from my generation, we was raised with the belief system of you never, ever speak ill of the deceased, you know? So it was just something that's totally unacceptable, right? And so I feel that that is the main thing that has the people who are up in arms about what Ayatollah Marv said about Eazy-E. That's the main thing that has these individuals triggered, and rightfully so, right? And then equally as important as well, I don't remember exactly when Eazy-E came out, right? I want to say maybe 86, 87. But for those of this generation, they have to understand that that generation, that time period was an extremely different time period in terms of black people making music and the representation of black people. You know, I think that today it's lost on a lot of the youngsters now when they grow up, and you have way more black movies, you have way more black artists. And so it's not necessarily a thing with you guys when you happen to see someone who looks like you on the big screen or making a hit record or so on and so forth. Also, back in that time, rap music was still, you can't say in its developing stages, but it was still something that was new, especially to those outside of the black culture, outside of black people, right? And at one point in time, I remember them saying that rap music was just a fad, that it would be gone in a few years. It's not something that's going to stick around. So to see an individual from your particular area, and I'm talking about those from Compton, right? And then also seeing Eazy-E develop and going on into what he eventually turned out into, I believe, of course, was extremely monumental. You know, at that time, too, we have to talk about West Coast rap. At that time, man, I don't believe West Coast rap really had any prominent rappers outside of Ice-T. But, you know, respect to Ice-T and this and that. But he never went on to become the worldwide known figure as Eazy-E. I mean, there was a few Compton rappers, I believe, before Eazy-E, Toddy T, Mixmaster Spade, but I believe that they were more, those guys were more just relatively known in a smaller circle, you know, more relative to the West Coast and Compton and things of that nature. So to see Eazy-E, someone from Compton, representing Compton, and when it comes to hip hop, I think it's safe to say that Eazy-E along with NWA, but I believe that of course Eazy-E, for whatever reason, happened to be he was like the forefront of NWA, right? It's safe to say that they put Compton on the map, you know. they definitely made the city of Compton known worldwide with that album that they dropped, coming straight out of Compton. I'll never forget the first time I heard that song, Boys in the Hood. There happened to be a dude out in Bannon by the name of Donald B. At that time, Donald B was probably about 27, 28, and he was a blood from, he was from Swans. And so I forget how we happened to even run across Donald B. Matter of fact, I believe a friend of mine from Raymond, Donald B happened to live around the corner from him, and he had started, you know, and at this time now, keep in mind, I'm only about 15, 16 years old. Donald B was selling weed in some type of way. They made a connection. And then I met Donald B through the homie Lacey Loke from Raymond, right? So anyway, at some point in time, we over there, we hanging out at Donald B's house. And he plays this particular song, man, Boys in the Hood. And that was the first time that I was introduced to Eazy-E's music, man. And so, like I said, once again, for those who didn't grow up in that time period, who didn't grow up when now, you know, you have a lot of quote unquote gangster rap, you know, to hear something like that was definitely mind blowing. It was phenomenal. At that time, of course, I was already into the street life, selling drugs, so on and so forth. So to hear someone express the type of things that I was living, to hear him express it in music form, it definitely was, you know, it was a mind blowing moment, and it was a moment that you know that I have still not forgot. It's a few times in hip hop where I've heard certain tapes, certain songs or whatever, and I can remember exactly where I was, exactly what I was doing due to the effect that the song had on me. And definitely Boys in the Hood was one of those songs. And so keep in mind, I still remember the effect that song had on me some 30 something years ago. And let's also keep in mind, obviously, I'm not from Compton. So imagine how much pride people from Compton, I'm assuming Crips and Bloods, you know, had in the fact that Eazy-E was from Compton and he was out there representing Compton, putting Compton on the map. Now, I can't say exactly what Eazy-E done in terms of helping out Compton, benefiting them, but I'm sure he has done a lot. He has contributed to Compton. He has gave back in more ways than just with the rap music, right? And also just important, and I failed to mention this, and I believe it's just important, to hear somebody diss Eazy-E, that's going to be upsetting to anybody from Compton, right? But it's a totally another thing to hear someone from Compton diss another person who is such prominent and loved as Eazy-E. And here's why, you know, because in some situations, right, things get bigger than the division of gang banging or whatever, right? There are things that are bigger than Crips and Bloods, and it's the city of Compton, right? In this aspect, in this relation, right? I think that's the feeling about those who are in uproar about the statements made by Ayatollah Marv. You know, not only are you disrespecting this man, in their opinion, speaking ill of the deceased, you are from Compton. So, you know, why would you make remarks like this on another person who's from Compton? And so I think that's the thing that those are most upset about. And once again, and I'm sure everybody will agree with me who's from that generation, you know, if you grew up at that time period when you didn't see a lot of black men on a global level doing things on the level that not only Eazy-E did, but NWA did back in those times, man, that was definitely something to be proud of, especially if you're from Compton, especially if you knew Eazy-E. Now, because let's talk about this a little bit, man. Eazy-E is or was not like, you know, some and a lot of rappers today who assume an image and then go rap about it, and they get put up on a hip hop pedestal, and come to find out later on they was really not the person that they was rapping about, you know. I did a lot of time with a lot of people from Compton, and Eazy-E definitely was, quote unquote, how we say it today, he was outside, right? Eazy-E was known, you know, from people in the streets of Compton. And so that just lends more credibility to the authenticity of who he says he was, right? And so for those, of course, who are still here, you know, who respected and loved Eazy-E. They may still know his family and stuff like that. That's just something that they definitely did not like. So you see Ayatollah Marv, of course, obviously, what people felt was disrespect must have gotten back to him. And he came back and tried to make his intentions clear and said that it was not his intentions on disrespecting Eazy-E. But anyway, you already know what it is. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.